How's it going, Move Student Ministries? This is Pastor Justin. I want to start things off with some announcements. So, right now it looks like next Wednesday we are going to be doing service. So, a lot of the details are still in the works, but we want to be able to do service in a way so everyone that can possibly can make it can make it. So right now we're going to do a shorter service. We're going to kind of do things a little differently. We're going to have games that are amended so that they're socially distanced. We are going to change worship so that we can follow CDC guidelines, and then we're going to do a shorter sermon, and then we're going to go have a bonfire. And so we're going to break up into groups of like 10 people at the bonfire pit, 10 people at the volleyball pit, 10 people at the Gaga ball pit. Actually, we might not even be able to do Gaga ball because of social distancing. And so expect more details soon. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up because we are going to do everything we can to meet together well and safely. So that's coming up. Second, this is my second announcement. We have grad parties this weekend for 3 of our graduating seniors that you are invited to. Feel free to come, eat food, and give them money because this is a crazy time to be going into college, and college is expensive, and it's kind of like a congratulations and to support them. So, first off, this little kid is having a grad party this Saturday. It's kind of earlier in the day around lunchtime. Yeah, cute little Emma. And these 2 little kids are going to be having their grad parties this Sunday afternoon. Obviously, this is Nathan and Haley Nasser. They're brothers and sisters, so it will be the exact same party that they will be celebrating. That's this Sunday. That'll be after church in the afternoon. Bring them money and bring a mask so that you're safe and that you make good choices. For details about the address and the time, I'm not going to share them because this is the internet. You can email the church at frontoffice@lifechurchblaine.com, and if you seem like a person that we know, we'll send you the information so that you can come, or you can shoot me a message, text me, Facebook me, and I'll do my best to give you that information. So before that we start today's service, there's some important things that I want to talk to you about. This is George Floyd, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard about him and what happened to him. Monday he was suffocated to death by a Minneapolis police officer who was kneeling on his neck. And some people got the whole thing on video, and it's pretty rough. I couldn't finish it, and it's caused a lot of problems in our city, and nationally it's been getting a lot of attention. And there were peaceful protests that happened yesterday. If you came from youth camp, you might recognize this guy. This is Paul Herkman. He was there at the protests yesterday. He was our speaker from youth camp last year, who was fantastic and really, really good. But there were also some riots yesterday. There was a lot of destruction and violence. People are hurt. They're upset. They're confused. And I just want us to pause everything that we're doing today and take a moment to pray for George Floyd's family and for our city, because there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of fear in the hearts of a lot of people, and I just want to pray for healing, that God would take this terrible event and that he'd bring goodness out of it. I want to pray that Christians would get out of our seats in church and bring God's love to the people of our city, that we'd get to see people healed from the pain that they've experienced from this tragedy. And I'm going to be honest with you, this happens like every single year in Minnesota. This is a repeated instance. And so just pray for the healing for the families and for the people in our city who've been affected by this. And that just pray that God's kingdom would come for people of color, that they wouldn't have to live in fear. We've got people of color in our church who have sons that they're worried about, that they're fearful of this happening to. And people in our church have stories of being harassed by police and police kind of picking on them for the color of their skin. This is something that happens. And we just want to pray for this. We want to pray for our city. We want to pray for the people that God's placed on our hearts. So if you just pray with me, bow your heads, close your eyes. Father, would a spirit of peace just start to flow out of our churches, out of our Christians, people who call themselves your followers? Would we start to see your hand come and heal people and bring togetherness where there was brokenness, Father? Would we get to see attitudes change? Would we get to see hearts change? Would we get to see people who are living in fear begin to live in freedom, Father. Will you just begin to pour out your spirit of justice and a spirit of righteousness onto us as your followers and into the communities that we live in and into our cities, Father. Will we get to see your kingdom come, and would goodness come with it? In your name, amen.
We serve the greatest giver of all time, who caused his son to join mankind. He left the riches of heaven for open wounds without stitches, brought us healing we weren't seeking in the name that is above all things. Yet he remains hyper aware of every heartbeat, never missing a dull moment. The only God who sees, present through our collective impersonal histories. He knows us by name, as well as the parts of the world who have yet to learn his. So he stirs your heart, brings the heartbeat of all 9,459 corners of the world to your headspace, prompts you to catch a glimpse of his heartache, lets your heart break for the world with your eyes wide open, then ask you to allow this to be more than just a heartbreaking moment. See, the Great Commission demands that you go. It's the fear of failure and comforts that tie us to our home. But beyond this mini moment wrapped up in a poem, there is a voice in your mind whispering to you, and you know the miracle of your conversion is a mind-boggling thing. You can break it down, but you'll never fully explain it. He is relentless and a romantic nonetheless. Need I remind you how he wooed you onto himself, met you in your corner of the world, extended himself as a remedy for your hurt, and now is asking that you would extend the invitation of you. It is no small task, but he is a great God, searching for willingness more than a skill set. The body of Christ is the hope of the world today. So why believe the lie that you've got nothing to say? Excuse your excuses for a moment and trust this. He loves the whole world and is making all things new. So step outside of your walls without context or clues. Show up when you're scared and unsure. Show up when you can't pinpoint what for. The answers aren't in you, they're in the cross. So don't turn a blind eye to a world that brings tears to his and tugs at his heartstrings. Instead, would you catch the heartbeat, run your race with God's speed, and leave your mark on eternity? Excuse your excuses, please. It is not about needing more time. You serve the maker of time. Don't waste another moment. Move now until all know.
We started 2020 off with some really big goals to raise money for Speed the Light. We had a game plan to meet all those goals. We broke the year up into 3 phases so that we could meet them well, and we were going to be doing different things in each phase to help us raise money. We planned a spring push, a summer push, and a fall push, and then coronavirus came in and messed all those up. Today, we are going to talk about those plans and what our plan is going to be as we move forward. But first, there's something I need to say to you guys. It's really been on my heart. It's been a godly challenge, and I think you need to hear it right now. Being a follower of Jesus is not about going to church. I'm going to say that again. Being a follower of Jesus is not about going to church. Being a follower of Jesus is not about singing worship songs. Being a follower of Jesus is not about listening to a really smart, attractive pastor talk about Jesus week after week after week. It's not. And in the book of Amos, chapter 5, God speaks to the people of Israel about what he really wants from them, because they've been going through the motions. They've been doing a bad job of getting to the heart of what God wants for them. They've been playing the church game, the religious game, but it was empty and hollow and false. We're going to read Amos chapter 5, verses 1 through 24 today, and it's going to sound different to you because this is from the Message translation. And the Message is a translation that tries to make the Bible more understandable and applicable for us today, because we're reading parts of the Bible that are thousands of years old, and he's speaking to people who were living thousands of years ago. And so I don't normally speak from this translation, but we're going to talk about it today. This is a retelling of what Amos actually says, and this is God speaking to the people of Israel. He says, "I can't stand your religious meetings. I'm fed up with your conferences and your conventions. I want nothing to do with your religion projects, your pretentious slogans, and your pretentious goals. I'm sick of your fundraising schemes, your public relations, and your image making. I've had all I can take of your noisy, ego-fueled music. When was the last time you sang to me? Do you know what I want? I want justice, oceans of it. I want fairness, rivers of it. That's what I want. And you know what? That's all that I want. When you read through these original scriptures, when you read through this in a different translation, God is telling the people of Israel that their rule following, their religious living is worthless to him if they do not deliver justice and righteousness to vulnerable, oppressed people. And I want you to know this is not something that I'm taking one verse of the Bible and running away with. This idea is littered over and over again in the books of the prophets, where God is accusing the people of Israel of abandoning the oppressed people, the sick, the dying, widows, orphans, fatherless children. Over and over again, this is what he calls Israel out for. Not for failing to do sacrifices correctly. Not for not dressing the right way or worshiping the right way. It is for failing to take care of the people that are suffering and need their help. Jesus himself focused on these people, specifically when he went around uplifting people who were hurting. I'm going to read this passage from Matthew 25 to you guys, and I want you to do whatever you need to laser focus in on this. Okay? If you need to read along with me, there's going to be a link in the description so you can do that. Or you can just look it up in your own Bible. It's Matthew 25, 31 through 46. Okay? Maybe you need to close your eyes and just listen without distractions. Maybe my face is so beautiful that you're distracted looking at it. In that case, close your eyes so you can focus on this. Because it's a wall of text, but I don't want you to misunderstand what God expects of you. And this is not my opinion. This is not Pastor Justin is on his high horse telling me what to do. This is raw scripture that I'm giving to you. Because that's the quickest way to get to the heart of God. All right, that's why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to bore you to death, but you need to hear specifically from Jesus' mouth what he wants from you as his follower. Matthew 25, 31 through 46. This is the New Living Translation. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit upon his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered in his presence, and he will separate the people as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He'll place the sheep at his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger and you invited me into your home. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you cared for me. I was in prison and you visited me." To these righteous ones, they will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink, or a stranger and show you hospitality, or naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you in prison and visit you?" And on this day, the king will say, "I tell you the truth, when you did it to one of the least of these brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me." And this is the criteria that Jesus has for the people that he deems as worthy of his kingdom. He says, you did all these things. You're worthy of my kingdom. But he goes on and he says, the king will turn to those on his left and he'll say, "Away with you, you cursed ones, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked and you didn't give me clothing. I was sick and in prison and you didn't visit me." Then they will reply, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick in prison and not help you?" And he will answer, "I tell you the truth, you refused to help the least of these, my brothers and sisters. You were refusing to help me." And they will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous will go into eternal life. Jesus does not say, "You righteous ones sat in church and listened to sermons and sang worship songs and tried to connect with me." He doesn't say that. He says, the righteous ones were the ones that went out and cared for my people. And they brought the good news of my kingdom with them. He goes on later in the book of Matthew in chapter 28, before Jesus ascends into heaven, he says, go out and make disciples of every nation, tribe, and tongue. Go out and bring my people closer to me. Bring my people back home. And I want you to understand, the righteous people who enter God's kingdom are the ones who went out and did something. They went out and put God's love into action. And this is the role of the church. The role of the church is to be a place that creates disciples of Jesus who go out into the world and do Matthew 25. My job is to lead you so that you can go and do Matthew 25 in God's world, and to create a community where you can support each other as you go out and do Matthew 25. That's my job. No matter who you are, the Great Commission of Jesus demands that you go. God extended himself out to you while you were hurting and you were weak, and now it's time for you to be an extension of Jesus to the people in your world. And when we look at the hurting that's happening in our city, there's plenty of opportunities for you to go out and love people, to care for people. And that's why we support Speed the Light. Speed the Light goes around the world digging wells to give water to people who don't have access to clean water. They support ministries that give food to people who are starving. They partner with organizations who free women and children who have been enslaved as sex workers. I just said women and children. I want you to hear those words. They support missionaries like the Porter family so they can go out and reach communities that aren't receiving the good news of Jesus Christ. And the way this looks is we go out and we take care of people who are hungry and sick and dying. And while we're doing that, we can bring the good news of Jesus Christ in with that. These Speed the Light supports people that are going out and fulfilling Matthew 25. And one of the ways that we can fulfill Matthew 25 is by supporting them financially. And that's why we've put such a big push into that this year. That's why we made a $20,000 goal for our church, for our youth ministry, to support Speed the Light, is because we want to fulfill Matthew 25. And you are in a perfect place in your life to do that right now, young person. Since the beginning of the year, our plan has been for this summer to be the Get a Job Challenge. And God has set us up perfectly for you to go out and raise money for his kingdom. I could not imagine a better circumstance for you to go out and do what we're talking about. Because right now, millions of people have lost their jobs. And what's so interesting is the government is paying them more money right now not to work than they would be if they were at their actual job working. And so people are getting job offers and they're saying no to those job offers so they can make more money from home. Okay? That means people are out there trying to hire people and people aren't taking those jobs. There are jobs out there for you to get your hands on right now that people aren't taking because they're making more money not working. And this is an opportunity for you to go out and to work for God's kingdom, to go out and raise money so we can feed the hungry, to give water to those who are thirsty, to give clothing to those who are sick, and to bring Jesus with us while we do this. So what I'm asking you guys to do is to start praying to God. You know, there's a lot of excuses that you could have in your mind right now, and I'm sure some of you are already making excuses. Pastor Justin, I'm not old enough to get a job at Target. I'm not old enough to get a job at Walmart or a food place by my house. Well, that's not a good excuse. Because, there's other excuses too, right? I'm going to be too busy. I'm going to be going on vacation. I've got this going on in my life. My parents are worried about this. Excuse your excuses. Get rid of them and be obedient to God. There are ways around every obstacle that you have found in your head right now. There are things you can do that will not allow your concerns to prevent you from following God and following Jesus. Junior hires, most of you are old enough to babysit. And if you're not, most of you can mow lawns. Most of you can chop wood and sell it. Most of you can make homemade coronavirus masks and sell them on the internet with your parents' help. Most of you can, some of you people are good at drawing. Some of you are talented artists. I've seen some of your pictures. You can draw and sell items online. And when you tell people that you're selling art to support a cause, they love doing that. They love buying things to support a cause, especially if you say we're going to feed people who are hungry, we're going to give water to people that are thirsty, we're going to free women and children from sex slavery. People just give you money if you're out there doing that. Musicians, we got some talented musicians in our church. You can offer your services for money. You can set up a band and go panhandle in parts of the city. You could talk to a Walmart and say, "Hey, I want to raise money. Can we perform music outside of your store to raise money for Speed the Light to free women from sex slavery and to dig water wells for people in Africa?" Gamers, yeah, I'm talking to you freaking gamers, the people that I criticize all the time for wasting your time. You can host Twitch donation streams. Okay, this is a huge way of making money. People do this all the time. You don't even have to have a huge Twitch channel. Just list Speed the Light and all the things that you're doing in the description so people can donate. There is no end to the number of creative ways that you can serve God and care for his people, even with coronavirus happening. If you can't go out and get a job at Target, there is a ton of stuff you can do to raise money for God's kingdom right now. There is so much you can do. You can talk to people in the church about help that they need at their house and see if they'll pay you for that. We have seniors in our church that would love to support these ministries, and they have stuff at home that they might not be able to do. We have seniors that really can't clean a lot of their house. They can't take care of their yards. You can go out and serve those people. You can fulfill Matthew 25 for those people who can't take care of themselves and raise money for Speed the Light. There is no end to the ways that you can serve God in his kingdom. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. If I had to choose between you coming to church, sitting in a seat, worshiping, or you going out and working to fulfill God's kingdom, to make God's kingdom greater, I would choose that you go work at Target and make money for God's kingdom, raise money to feed people. I would choose that you go to your neighbor's house and take care of your elderly neighbors so that you could raise money for God's kingdom. The Great Commission, the King of Kings, demands that we go and love his people, that we seek justice and righteousness by feeding the hungry and giving water to the thirsty, by caring for the oppressed and loving the broken. And I just want you to stop talking about it. Let's just stop talking about it and listening to people and thinking it's a good idea. Let's go do it. Okay, I'm going to pray that God puts numbers in your head. Maybe it's a percentage of the amount of money you make at the job you already have. Okay, a lot of you are already working. A lot of you senior hires already have jobs. I'm going to pray that God puts a percentage of your income into your heart that you're going to give to Speed the Light. Some of you don't have jobs, and God needs to spur something in you. He needs to give you a direction that you can chase after. I'm going to pray that he does that today, that he puts that in your heart right now so that you can go and obey him. Would you bow your heads with me and close your eyes so that we can, as a youth ministry, as a community of people who are following after Jesus, stop sitting and listening and go do? Would you bow your heads with me and close your eyes? Father, would you put a passion and a conviction in our hearts today in this moment right now to stop being apathetic, joyless, empty followers of you? Would we pick up a cross? Would we pick up a tool? Would we pick up a shovel, Father? And would we go to work for your kingdom? Would we go out of our way to take care of people in our communities who are hurting and lost and broken and oppressed? Would we find opportunities to serve you? And Father, would you put a cry and a passion and a need in our hearts to go out and work for your kingdom? Would we become productive? Would we get to see your kingdom grow? Would we be passionate about fulfilling the Great Commission of making disciples and loving people who are lost and broken and need you? And would you push every excuse out of our minds as we go on this journey of following after Jesus? In your name, amen. Here's Pastor Eric.
Step with every heartbeat, Jesus, let it be trust it all to you. My dreams and all my plans, I trust it all, I trust it all. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of your love. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Oh, because of you, Jesus. For all my days, God, you are my guide. I give you all, my heart is open wide. Jesus, let it be for you only, my whole life, all for your glory, all for your glory. My life is in your hands, I trust it all, I trust it all to you. My dreams and all my plans, I trust it all, I trust it all. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of your love. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Oh, because of you, Jesus. You are everything, everything. You are all I need, all I need. I am forever in love with you, forever in love with you. Are everything, everything. You are all I need, all I need. I am forever in love with you, forever in love with you. Are everything, everything. You are all I need, all I need. I am forever in love with you, yeah, forever in love with you. Are everything, everything. You are all I need, all I need. I am forever in love with you. My life is in your hands, I trust it all, I trust it all to you. My dreams and all my plans, I trust it all, I trust it all. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of your love. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Whoa, because of you, Jesus, who you are. Whoa, because of you, Jesus. Whoa, because of you, Jesus. Sing my life is in your hands. I trust it all, I trust it all to you. My dreams and all my plans, trust it all, I trust it all. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of your love. Forever I'm changed, I'll never be the same because of your love, because of you, Jesus. Whoa, because of you, Jesus.